Good morning, children.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yes, sit down. Yes, children. Observe here and tell me what is this?
Potted plant.
Very good. It is a potted plant. Now tell me which is the colorful part of this plant?
Flowers.
Flower is the colorful part of this plant. Very good. Name the reproductive part of the plant. Reproductive part of the plant. Raise your hands those who know. Yes?
Flower.
Very good. Give them a clap. So, flower is the reproductive part of the plant. Yes. What does this flower produce? Yes?
Seeds.
Seeds.
Leaves.
Leaves.
Fruits.
Fruits. Okay. So, the flower, it produces the fruits and the seeds. Okay. How do they produce the fruits and the seeds? Yes, they can.
Fertilization.
By fertilization. Then
Pollination.
pollination. Very good. So, today we'll discuss about the pollination. About what are we going to study today?
Pollination.
So, today we'll study about pollination. Okay, so before we could define what is pollination, let's see about the parts of the flowers which we have discussed in the last class. So, shall we have a quick recap of the parts of the flowers?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, now here you have to choose the blanks and you have to fill these answers. Yes, which part is this?
Pedicel.
Pedicel. Very good. It's a pedicel. This part?
Calyx.
Calyx. Very good.
Corolla.
Corolla. It is a colorful part, right?
Androecium.
This is the androecium. Yes. This side, the first part is the safety. Style. Then and the last part is called as the ovary. Okay. Next, let's see about an image of this flower. Yes. So this is the reproductive unit of a flower. Which is the outermost whorl of the flower? Yes.
Calyx.
Very good. Calyx. Calyx is also called as the
Sepals.
Which is the second whorl of the flower? Yes.
Corolla.
Corolla. Corolla is also called as the
Petals.
Which is the male reproductive organ? Is
Androecium.
androecium. What does the androecium contains?
Stamen.
Contains the stamens and the stamen contains the
Anther and filament.
What does the anther contains?
Pollen grains.
Good. It contains the pollen grains. Next, which is the female part of the flower? Yes, Dhruva?
Magnesium.
Gynoecium. It is also called as carpel or the
Crystal.
Well, it contains the three parts. Which are the three parts?
Stigma, style, ovary.
Very good. So it contains the stigma, style and ovary. So these are the three parts of the gynoecium and there are four main parts in a flower. Okay. So next let's define what is this pollination. So pollination is defined as the transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of the flower is called as the pollination. Hope you all have the flower. Raise your flower. Yes. So you see here the pollen grains, that yellow color structure, observe in your leaf. Yes. So the pollen grains get transferred from the anther to the stigma of the flower is called as what? Is called as the pollination. Yes. Now you can observe here.
Pollination is the first step in sexual reproduction.
So it is the first step in the sexual reproduction.
Pollination occurs when grains of pollen containing the main gamete are transferred from the anther of flower to the stigma, from where they begin their journey toward the ovary.
So next we'll see about, there are two types of pollination. Okay, how many types of pollination are there?
Two types of
Pollination. One is called as the cross pollination and the other one is called as the
self-pollination.
So first let us see about the self-pollination. So in case of a self-pollination, so it is the transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of the same flower or flower borne on a same plant. Can you observe this plant? Or flower borne on a same plant is called as the self-pollination. Next, cross-pollination. Cross-pollination is when the pollen grains get transferred from the anther of one flower to the stigma of another flower is called as the cross-pollination. Clear, children? Okay, now just we'll quickly see about this. Okay, see, this is a cross-pollination. Can you see the pollen grains moving from the stigma to the anther to the stigma? So this is called as the cross-pollination.
Self-pollination occurs when pollen from the anther.
So can you observe here, from the same flower the pollen grains get transferred from the anther to the stigma is called as the self-pollination. Okay, now let's see an image about this types of pollination. Which are the types of pollination?
Self-pollination and cross-pollination.
Yes, self-pollination and cross-pollination are the two types of pollination. So here you can observe the types of pollination. See, this is the self-pollination where from the pollen grains get transferred to the anther to the stigma of the same flower, whereas in case of a cross-pollination it is getting transferred from the anther to the stigma of same flower and another flower. Another flower is called as what? Cross-pollination. Clear, children? Yes. So next let us discuss about the agents of pollination. Okay. Have you observed the insects, the bees, the butterflies moving around the plant?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. To which part of the plant does they move? Yes, Shreyas? Flowers. Very good. So why do you think the insects moves only to the flowers? Yes, Harshit? For nectar. Only for nectar? Sajid? For they are very scented. Okay, it gives a good fragrance. Yes.
They are very large and colorful.
Very good. They are very large and colorful. Give her a clap. Yes. So next we'll see about the agents of pollination. So today we will be discussing about three types of agents. Okay, three agents of pollination. The first one we are going to see about the pollination by insects. By what?
Insects.
Pollination by insects. The second one is the pollination by wind and the third one is the pollination by water. Okay. Okay, so this is the insect pollination. So it is also called as the entomophily. What it is called as the?
Entomophily.
Okay, so here what happens is the bees go sit on the flower. Okay, so when it sits on the flower, what happens? The pollen grains stick on to the legs of the insects, and when it flies and sits on the another flower, what happens? The pollen grains get dropped on the stigma of the another flower. You can observe here.
The pollen grains are distributed by insects. Among the two lab varieties of insect pollinators, the most common ones are bees.
So the most common insect pollinators are bees, butterflies, moths, bats, flies, ants and beetles.
Some special features help flowers in getting insects to pollinate them. As you saw, insect pollinated flowers are usually large, brightly colored, scented, and contain nectar to attract insects.
So the flowers which are pollinated by insects, they are large, they are brightly colored, they are mildly scented, and they contain the nectar for which the bees can fly over it.
If the flowers are small, they group together to form obvious clusters. They have stiff and erect stamens and have long protruding and sticky stigmas.
So they have a sticky stigma so that the pollen grains go and stick on to the stigma.
They also have a large number of large, sticky and heavy pollen grains with rough surfaces that easily cling on to the insects' bodies when they visit the flower. As the insects move from one flower to the other, the pollen grains fall onto the stigma of another flower, causing it to reproduce.
Okay, next we'll see some of the
Some examples
of insect pollinators are.
hibiscus, rose, sunflower, orchid, and marigold.
So these are the examples of the insect pollinated flowers. So hibiscus, sunflower, marigold, rose and orchids. Next, let us see about the pollination through wind. So the wind carried by the pollens will get carried by the wind, and they don't get attached to the stigma of the female reproductive organ.
These flowers do not contain
So
nectar.
here, in case of wind pollination flowers, they do not contain nectar, they don't have the scent, or neither they are brightly colored.
They have protruding stamens with a large number of small, light
So they have a large, numerous small and light pollen grains so that they can move along with the wind and stick on to the stigma. So next, let us see about some of the examples of the wind pollination.
The stigma is sticky to trap airborne pollen grains.
So since they are sticky, they go and stick towards the stigma.
Examples of wind pollinated
Examples of the wind pollinators are pine, wheat and hemp are the examples of these wind pollinators. Next, the last one is the, which one?
Water.
Yes. So in water pollination, what happens is, so water pollination is also called as the hydrophily. Here what happens is, the pollen grains, they move to the